Hey folks, welcome back. Let's go over a couple things we got handled this week. First off on the list is the 39 Oldsmobile. Got the rear end all back together, new gears, coil springs, bearing seals, yoke nut, all that good stuff. We're going to get it bolted back up and show you the final assembly. Then we're going to move over to the 31 Model A Roadster. Made some really good progress on the sheet metal this week, and I'm really excited about that car. I want to get it done. I want to drive it, but you got to do jobs to pay the bills to finish that car. So I may have spent some more money too. I may have accidentally come home with another 64 F100. It was a really good deal. I couldn't pass it up. Look, I know I have an addiction. I don't care. So let's check it out, folks. We got some goodies in. Got our locker set up for the Oldsmobile. We went with a 355 gear. These are Yukon gears. It's an Auburn posi or locker unit. And our install kit, and it even comes with the brush and the Loctite and the yellow paste that you use to check your gear lash. And we're going to go ahead and get started. I did go ahead and bolt the gear on with the new bolts and the supplied Loctite, torqued everything down. We got to get the bearings pressed on and get this thing back together. Let's get started on putting our setup together. Now you have all of your seals, bearings, races, your install kit, including your paint and brush, as well as Loctite. Get your tools out, make sure all of your new parts are clean and free of any burrs or debris. And you're going to start by installing your ring gear, which we've already done, and then we're going to move on to pressing on our carrier bearings. Now, they only go on one way, with the big part towards the carrier, as you can see on this one. When putting these on, the preferred method is to use a press and the proper dies and push it on nice and straight. Now, everybody doesn't have that luxury. I don't even have the right size dies. I can make some, but you can drive it on as well. You just have to be careful. Now, do not use a regular hammer. It will mar the end of this and likely destroy this bearing cage, which is pretty thin. Instead, get yourself a brass hammer. The brass is softer and is less likely to cause any kind of damage. Being it's the softer material, it's going to give way, not what you're driving on, which is steel. Make sure you use something like wood to set the carrier onto when you're doing this. If you just set it on a concrete floor, it's going to bounce, it's going to possibly crack your concrete or destroy the part that you're putting together. Be careful, be safe. Try to avoid using heat when installing these. You can heat them up too much and warp them, and then you're going to have bearing failure down the road. So let's go ahead and continue and get this thing together. Now that we have the rear end back together, let's go ahead and knock out these brakes while it's on the jack stands. We'll go over these specialty tools, what they are, and how we're going to use them. We've got a brake spoon used for adjusting the brakes. The next item we have is for installing and removing the springs. Then we have a different version of that same tool, and I'm going to show you the benefits of that as well. And the last tool we have is a square drive tool that is used to remove the anchor pins that hold these shoes to the backing plate. Let's put them to use. First up, the spring removal tools. We'll use the parts store one first, and I'll show you why this one sucks. So you slide your tool on like so, and then you're going to rotate it to try to get the spring off. Yep, and this thing's a piece of garbage. Now the snap-on one. That simple. This is the same tool that you use to install it. You slide your end in there, lay it on the anchor pin, and then you pry it into place. Like so. Makes life a lot easier. Now that we have our springs out and the equalizer bar that goes across back here, let's go ahead and remove our anchor pins. And that's when you take out that fancy tool. Make sure you got the right size. If you look right there, you can see how it's got an open slot on one side. So we're going to put it on there and push it and turn it to line it up and slide it off. Now it does help if you keep your finger on the back of the pin while you're doing this. And now your shoe is free from the backing plate. You can finish removing. It is running and driving. I just got to do a little bit of adjusting on the gear lash to get her perfectly quiet. But in the meantime, let's do some Roadster work. We're going to start working on finishing up these floors, making the back wall right now. We're going to do a piece right here and then do 2 curved pieces. Oh, and completely random, this is something neat I did. I got a hold of some stainless and I made an air tank. It's got bungs on the bottom and it'll mount kind of like that. But yeah, it'll look cool. Everything else will be rusty. We'll have this nice shiny air tank for some reason. Whatever. Making some really great progress on the Roadster. Stayed up last night, got some sheet metal work done. Got the Oldsmobile ready, rock and roll. Had to do a little bit of wiring so it would drive. But let's check it out, see what we got. Not done, but got a heck of a lot further. You can see the door panels are all buttoned up. We do still have to make caps that will go over the tops of the doors here to seal that up and get in there and do the toe boards. And I may have got bored last night. Went ahead and made up some spark plug wires. Might throw a carburetor on there later and see if we can get this thing to fire up. Either way, progress is progress. All right, we got a hot wire running to our coil. We got the fuel in the carburetor. Let's do a test fire, see what happens. Some people, when they're not supervised, make poor purchases. Now, I make great purchases. Like that truck right there. I didn't need it, but I bought it because it was a good deal. It's not a bad looking truck, so let's check it out. So we've got a 1964 F100 223 straight 6, supposedly runs, 3-speed manual transmission, extra set of doors and a hood in the back there. We're going to give it a good bath, clean out the bed, see if the engine will fire up. And if you're looking for a good way to spend that stimulus check, hit me up. Well, it ran for a second. Good enough. That's a wrap, folks. Thanks for joining me. Glad you got to see the motor fire up. We got some more progress on the sheet metal inside. Even got the old 64 long bed to fire up out back that we picked up. Next video, we're going to go ahead and continue with the sheet metal in here, and maybe we'll talk about some brakes and wiring options. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email us at rustybrothersgarage@gmail.com or greasyboycustoms@gmail.com. Remember to click subscribe, find us on Facebook, Instagram, all those great things. We'll see you next time.